this is where we ask men to literally walk 1 mile in women's high heel shoes. It's not easy in these shoes, but it's fun and gets the community to talk, something to talk about. It is one of those opportunities to get people talking. For preventive education, it helps men better understand and appreciate women's experience. Thus changing perspectives, helping improve gender relationships and decreasing the potential for violence.
This is a really important event when it comes to talking about gender-based violence. Gender-based violence disproportionately affect women more than they affect men. That being said, men are impacted by this violence too, but it's also the men that have power, that are in the community, right, that need to go beyond and talk about these issues.
Everybody looks at it and says, why would you do something like that? Why would you put on those shoes and do that? But for us, it was just something to say, why not? There's so many kids that are growing up right now. We look at the young ladies right now that can't have a proper relationship with a male because of things that have happened to them in their past. Here and now is where we start talking about that and being able to communicate and giving an option for people to talk about the things that have happened to them. And that's why we wanted to do this, to give voice. Although we're making light, say some humor in it, but guess what? Sometimes in that humor we can talk about some things that are very painful and then be able to come up with solutions. This is just the start. And that's what we wanted to do, is start the conversation, start the healing, and start the progress. So that's why we brought this to this community and want to continue to have it here.
The statistics on sexual assault are terrifying. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 6 men worldwide have experienced a form of sexual assault. It can sometimes be hard to visualize those statistics in terms of people. There's another way that I think of it. I'm in a class of 120 women. These statistics say that on average 40 women in my class have experienced a form of sexual assault. In a class with the same amount of men, 20 of them will have experienced sexual assault. I brought with me a speech from a survivor that we heard from at an event in Ames 3 weeks ago, and she wasn't able to be here today, but she gave me permission to share her speech and to share the story and to really bring us back to really understanding the impact of sexual assault and other crimes on women and on all people. I'm lying in bed on my right side, drifting off to sleep. I'm in that gray area where you have already started to dream, but your awareness of your surroundings hasn't totally faded. Suddenly, I'm startled awake. There's a man standing at the left side of my bed, looming over me. I can't see him, but I can feel him there. I tell myself I am dreaming. I fight the paralysis as hard as I can, but I can't move my body. I can't even move a finger. I think that if I scream or gasp, I will make myself wake up. But I can't scream. I can't breathe. I can't scream. Then suddenly I am truly awake. I am not lying on my right side, but on my back. There is no one in the room, and I have been asleep for a while. As terrible as these nightmares are, they are only flashbacks, subconscious echoes of the worst night of my life. This is what it means to be haunted.
My name is Mike Tupper, and it's my great honor and pleasure to serve you as your police chief. I'm very proud to say that over the last 23 years, law enforcement's gotten better, I think, in dealing with some of these crimes. But we have a long ways to go, because there's still too many people, too many judges, too many lawyers, too many cops, too many jurors that don't believe. They have a hard time understanding why anybody would allow themselves to be caught up in a situation where they can be sexually assaulted. And I think about all the crimes that, different types of crimes that I've investigated over the course of my career, and I can't think of one crime where we blame the victim. We don't blame the murder victim, we don't blame the robbery victim. If your house gets broken into, the cops don't show up and blame you. Why are we still blaming the victims of these crimes? This is a vastly underreported crime, and one of the reasons it's underreported is because people are afraid they're not going to be believed when they come forward.
That's why I am speaking to you. Survivors should not be afraid to be anywhere. If I had one impossible wish come true, if I had the power to make one thing happen, I would make him as haunted as me. Every time he closes his eyes, I want him to relive that night, but from my perspective. I want him to feel what I felt. Not just the physical assault, but the emotions as well. The consuming fear, the overwhelming panic, the horror, the shock, the disgust, the loathing, the awful sickness. I want him to look out of my eyes and up into his face and see a monster. Because the men and women who do these things are monsters. There is no humanity in their action. They treat other people like objects. They destroy the most basic right any human being has, which is dignity. To be treated with the respect that every person deserves. Each human life deserves to be treated with dignity.
Just kind of get fitted in them. If they're a high heel, don't get it stuck in the courthouse yard, because we got fiber optic and we don't anybody sink down in the grass. So come over. We've got bunion pads and heel lifts if you need to fit in your shoe a little bit.